Welcome to the UFFS podcast with Darren Bates and Larry Fisher. Shining a spotlight on the most realistic fantasy sports platform ever. If it happens in Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports, you'll find out here. UFFS, you own the game.
I don't know what it is, but I always get into that music. I start playing the drums. I get that bass going on. But of course, I'm a guitar player. Hello and welcome to UFFS podcast number 20 with Fish and Bates. Proudly broadcast, of course, on the Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network, otherwise known as UFSN, in fine company with some other fantastic podcasts when you find your way to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe and like. And I always like to be joined by the busiest guy in fantasy sports, Larry Fisher, for these podcasts. Hey, Fish, happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you, Darren. Looking forward to UFFS podcast episode number 20. Surprising a bit that we're already at episode number 20, but I'm stoked for today's show. Stoked is even bigger than excited, or even an emotion even bigger than excited. So I go way back with Curtis Johnson. I know he's one of our guests, so looking forward to catching up with Curtis. And obviously, as you've seen from the intro, there's going to be a new sport revealed today. So we have an action-packed show and can't wait to get to the guests and get to the new sport reveal.
Yeah, another very big day today. And, in that brand new intro we had right at the beginning of this podcast, you see a lot of different sports go across the screen. And there's, since we've been doing this, in our year and a few months already, there's so many, different members of our community are talking about different sports that I've never even heard of. And there just seems to be so little time, but we continue to grow. It's going to be a very exciting day. Don't want to overuse this phrase, but it just doesn't slow down. It's almost like rolling a snowball downhill, and when it starts to snowball, it builds, and there's no stopping it really. But you just kind of get out of the way, but you can shape it as it goes, and that's kind of how I see it. Going to talk about the craziness of NFTs, and we'll touch on our new Twitter feed, which I think is focused on scouts, which is pretty important as well. And we're going to get to our first guest right after this.
Time for a quick lineup change, but Bates and Fish will be back right away with today's guest.
And we are back. I feel like I need to sit up a little bit straighter, make sure my collar is a little crisp and, the way it should be, and dressed properly here. We've got the owner of the Generals and fantastic video there, Curtis Johnson. I don't know why I said Jonas. It's just my lips aren't working today on eating too much chocolate, maybe. Curtis, welcome to the program.
Thanks a lot for having me today. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and Larry probably wants to say hello as well. I think you see Fish. You know Fish quite well.
I do know
Yeah,
Fish, yeah, for our times back in the day of the Blazers Bobcats.
yeah, that's going back
Absolutely.
15 plus years now, going back to Curtis's junior days. One of my first media stops was covering Curtis and Lloydminster back in that 2005 to 2008 range. So it seems like yesterday, but it's been a while.
It's been a long time, Fish, long time.
So it's great to have you on the program, Curtis. Obviously, proud to have you in UFFS and UFHL, owner of the Generals in the UFHL, owner of the Corporals in the UFHL, and overseer of CanWest Scouting Agency as well. Busy guy, but we kind of want to get to know, obviously a little bit about your franchise, how it came to be today, and obviously a little bit more about you, and as much that you want to share, of course. And maybe there's some secret things you don't want to share, but it's totally up to you. First of all, I want to I kind of want to ask is in the camp of the Generals, Corporals, CanWest Scouting Agency. I love the logo, by the way. It's really, really cool logo. Kind of freaks me out. Almost gives me nightmares, actually. It's kind of scary, one of those Halloween type things, but I love it. So it's commanding, strict protocols. Is that kind of the way things are run in the Generals and Corporals camp?
Yeah, I love this league, and it's something I've been wanting to jump into. And we take it pretty seriously over here on this side of the computer, and we got people in place to run it like a professional organization, right? And I think the Generals is a perfect brand for us, and CanWest is kind of the very top of the whole brand, and we plan on having other sports underneath that umbrella. And yeah, the Generals was something that myself and my assistant GM Harrison came up with.
I love it. So you guys now, it's really hard for me to keep up. There's so many moving parts now in the UFFS, UFHL, UFAHL, and now the UFGA. A lot of different ownership groups. The ownership groups continue to grow, which is fantastic. Would you mind just taking a couple of minutes and describing your team for us in the Generals Corporals camp? Who all is involved? And I know you mentioned one already. And what are their roles and responsibilities?
Yeah, I guess myself. I'm the owner of CanWest Fantasy Sports, and like I said, we plan on underneath that having as many different sports underneath that umbrella. The Generals is definitely our big boy team right now. It's under the UFHL. Again, I'm the owner of that and the general manager. Harrison's a big part. He's my assistant general manager as well in both the UFAHL and UFHL. He's also Harrison I'm talking about is also the head of scouting for our CanWest scouting agency. My wife, she kind of oversees that as well. We have a lot of, I've been in the hockey world and I have a lot of friends and stuff like that. So we have people, are helping out with some of the amateur scouting, the pro scouting as well. We have a cool announcement that I was hoping I can get everything done, before we had this little meeting that I can announce it. But we have a cool partnership that we've signed and dotted, but we're just not ready to release it yet. With another scout here that's a part of our little organization. So yeah, there's lots of people involved to make this a successful franchise, and I can just see our company getting bigger.
Talk about getting involved with UFF Sports, Curtis, and obviously you've dove in head first as far as picking up on the crypto side as well. But go back to right around Christmas when you actually purchased the Generals, and maybe just some of the when you first heard about UFF Sports and how you decided to get involved and how you're enjoying the experience so far.
Well, honestly, I'd have to credit you. I know, we're Facebook friends online. I know we haven't chatted in a long time, but looking back now, I kept on seeing franchise sports popping up on my Facebook feed, and just like a lot of things on Facebook, you just scroll past it. But it was one day, there was a headline that you had on there, and I clicked on the link, and I started looking into it, and I love hockey, love franchise hockey. But I wanted to find something more. I think I've done I don't know how many franchise leagues, out there, but this was different. You have these NFTs where these players are, you have real world value to them. You're not just trading, line A for Sagan or whoever it is, and redrafting the next year. It's like, there's real kind of world consequences, and I enjoyed that, and I love being a GM and being able to identify players, and you win some trades, lose some trades. So I think it's just that closest aspect that I could get to actually owning a hockey franchise. It's a dream of mine to one day own a WHL team and be a GM for a WHL team, and this was the closest thing to it. And it somewhat feels like it, and that's how we kind of approach it. So jumping in with I think I reached out to you and said, hey, like, this is awesome. I want to jump in and buy a team, and you did your thing and helped promote myself. And obviously that was around the time that the UFAHL was going to go and expand. So we knew at least we were going to have a UFAHL team. So myself and Harrison started, doing our work and scouting players, and it was an exciting time, so I definitely credit you for that. Yeah.
And you and Harrison have a history in hockey in the real world. Talk a little bit about that, because I know going back to 2005 to 2008, I had the privilege of covering the end of your junior career. I know you wore a letter in the AJHL. You were a pretty prominent player at the junior A level, and then immediately after your playing career, you've been involved in high level hockey, both the Cujo conditioning, the training aspect, but also you've done some coaching, and Harrison has, and you guys know a lot of these prospects coming up, whether they're Cujo clients or whether you've coached with and against them at camps and stuff. You know the real world as well as the fantasy world.
Yeah. So after, obviously, everybody's junior career comes to an end and you got to decide what you want to do. I was huge into fitness. Here in Lloydminster, there wasn't any, sport specific training facilities, and I seen a need for that. And, I went and started Cujo Conditioning, which is again, deals with developing hockey players off the ice. That's where, I needed to get some education as well. I just didn't want to start a business, not have that education and experience behind me. So went to school to Red Deer College, and that's where I met Harrison, and, become friends after that. And a couple of years later, we ran back into each other at a hockey rink, and I was coaching Bantam AA at that time, and I needed an assistant coach, and he jumped in and helped me. And we've been, coaching ever since. I stopped coaching, obviously, once I started firefighting, but we got to coach, against players, like Connor Bedard and players that are, exciting to watch like that. And, Cujo Conditioning, I've had the privilege to be able to work with for years, guys like Cale Clegg, who, was obviously with the LA organization. He's down in the minors right now, but Ty Smith, New Jersey Devils, right? He's a phenomenal kid, awesome family. I worked with him for, I think it was 7 years when he was here in Lloydminster. So it's been awesome. I've got to see, coach at the Bantam AAA level, midget AAA level, all that type of stuff. And I got to see these kids, and I get to, see them in the fantasy sports world now too, which is pretty exciting.
So, Curtis, let's get to know Curtis Johnson a little better here. And obviously you see it in the sidebar there when you were speaking and from Lloydminster, and we were having a little bit of joke pre-recording of this program here, and I said, well, he's from Lloydminster, and Lloydminster is an interesting town because it's a border city. So we never really know if you're from the Saskatchewan side or the Alberta side. And as a bunch of Saskies of the founders of UFFS, usually we'll say, is it the good side or the bad side? The good side being the Saskatchewan side, because we're biased, of course. But then, of course, Dean Millard says, well, actually, we always used to think the good side was the Alberta side because the taxes were cheaper on the beer. So you're telling us you're from the Alberta side. So take that as you like, I guess.
You take it what you want. Yeah, my life is a little complicated, just like that. I was actually born in Saskatoon. So my brother and I, born in Saskatoon. So you could say I'm a Sask boy, but I was only there for about a year, moved to Calgary. So, I have that, I battle that same thing. Am I a Sask boy or really an Alberta boy? Because I have more Alberta in me than anything. But yeah, Lloydminster, it's that weird border city where you got, I guess, good things from both sides, right? But I am definitely on the Alberta side right now. That's where I live, and we're just building a new house as well here. So. Yeah.
Awesome. Look forward to the invite to the housewarming party. So let's talk about Cujo conditioning. Obviously, I've been on the website. And you know what struck me is the word elite. Elite conditioning for elite athletes. And obviously, we align with that as an elite to fantasy platform here with UFFS and everything that we do. And you've got some big names. You know, I saw names like Duncan Keith, Jordan Eberle, Thomas Hinkie as well. So there's some big names associated with Cujo conditioning.
Yeah, so we have a partnership with Crash Conditioning. It's a place in Calgary, and that's where those guys train out of. We run the same program, so some of our guys go down to Calgary down there, and some people come up here. But yeah, those guys like Duncan Keith has been a crash lead, we call it. And he works with Douglas Crashley for years, right? And same thing with Thomas Hickey. That's where I trained out of. When I was playing hockey, that's where my brother, trained out of as well. So we have this awesome partnership with Crash Conditioning, and yeah, that's where guys who are up here in Lloyd, the Ty Smiths, the Cale Clays. Cale actually moved from Lloyd down to Calgary because his family relocated there, and he's still with Crash down there. So yeah, we have this Crash Lead family, we call it, and it's we are pretty lucky where we have some great young guys coming up as well. I know Crash down in Calgary's got like Jake Neighbors and the Osblatt brothers and guys like that. So yeah, it's some exciting times for Cujo conditioning, Crash conditioning, for now and for the future as well.
And Curtis, maybe just talk a little bit about the fitness side, because like I said, as a player, you were kind of into fitness already then, and then right out of junior, you knew that's what you wanted to do. And now you're in firefighting, but I think you were a little ahead of the times when it came to CrossFit as well. I know you were a successful CrossFit athlete, maybe competed at the national level, but talk about how fitness became a thing for you and pushed you throughout your playing career, but certainly in your professional career.
Yeah, fitness, ever since I was 13 years old, I was working out and I was a good hockey player, but I think me coming into shape and the commitment in the summertime is what pushed me to that next level, right? It was the reason why I would be starting on the first line and not the third line. And just, seizing that opportunity. I was always the guy who came to shape and put that effort in. And I loved fitness. And after I was done my junior career, like I said, I knew that's what I wanted to get in. I wanted to, I guess, break the barriers here in Lloyd. It's being these small towns, sometimes they're a little bit out to date with what's going on. And I was working out when I was 13 years old, and they didn't even have a hockey strength and conditioning facility in town when I was 20, finishing my junior career. So I seen this need, and that's where starting Cujo and breaking the stigmas of, I could just use August to get in shape, use the Bobcats conditioning camp or whatever it is. It was like, no, you can, so you should start training in May and spend 4 months and develop and get fit and all those types of things. So yeah, it took some time to break the stigma here in Lloydminster, but it's been success ever since. And for myself, after competing with hockey, I was searching for something else, and that's where I got into CrossFit. It was actually just personally, I needed something, right? It wasn't playing senior hockey, anything like that. And my practicum in school was actually at a CrossFit gym, and I just fell in love with it as an athlete. And there's CrossFit and the strength and conditioning world when it comes to hockey kind of butt heads in some of their thinking and stuff like that. But for myself, it was exciting times, and as you would say, exciting times. I love CrossFit, and I was actually pretty good at it. And a guy named Lance Ward, who ex-NHL player, he's a good buddy of mine. We started working out, CrossFitting every day, and yeah, we became pretty good at it and competed at the regional level, they call it. So yeah, that's kind of my fitness career. Now I'm a little older, and I don't have that compete and drive to make myself elite anymore, and I just try and push kids and help adults to get to their fitness needs.
And Lance's son Mason, obviously playing with the Red Deer Rebels now. I believe he's a client of CanWest scouting agency as well. But talk about, again, I think the Lloydminster minor hockey has really trended up, and I'm sure some of the credit goes to the off-ice conditioning with with Cujo conditioning there, because the Bantam AAA and Midget AAA, and you see a lot more Lloydminster area kids going in the Bantam draft, and I think Cujo conditioning deserves certainly some credit for that, because you work with a lot of those athletes, like I said, coming to camp in shape and being able to have the success they've had on the ice. Part of that goes back to Cujo conditioning. But here's a question for you, and maybe related to the UFHL Generals franchise player, is can you teach work ethic? And what would you do with a guy like a Patrick Laine? Because obviously Torts is having a struggle with him, but can you teach work ethic? And is that part of a balancing act for you in your role with Cujo conditioning?
Teaching work ethic I think that's a tough one, right? You can breed it. I think you can surround people who, you can surround somebody who needs to work on their, work ethic or their intensity with people who it's just natural with, right? Teaching and speaking is something, but actions is everything. So I think, for young players, I seen it myself when I first coached hockey or even into Cujo, yelling and screaming isn't the way to motivate these kids. It's getting them with their peers showing them how it's done. It's leading by example, right? And I think that's where hockey's changed, and maybe Torts. I'm not in the locker room, but that's where I think his peers are the ones who are going to have to get Laine and those young guys, whoever they are, if they need to work on it, to that next level, right? And you can have those conversations with players, but like I said, I think in my personal experience, it's surrounding yourself with those like-minded people, and that's in business, right? You guys can say you guys have surrounded yourself with good people, and that's what's made UFF Sports so successful. And that's what makes organizations. Are you telling me the Buffalo Sabres, when they have all that talent, on their team, how they cannot be successful? And I think that just speaks for, well, you can have all the talent you want, but is it the right people? And I think, like I said, Laine's having a tough one right now, but he's proven he's a natural goal scorer. He's a filthy hockey player. It's just one of those things, right? 22-year-old kid. So, yeah.
Yeah, great advice. And, it's funny that Larry brings up Patrick Laine, because obviously living close to Winnipeg, I could talk about Patrick Laine all day. And I think a lot of people around here have varying different opinions on him. But of course, he's not here anymore. And I think if you can get that guy off a fortnight, he's probably a lot better off. But I guess people work on him. I guess you look into the pro hockey family, which is on the sidebar here. And obviously, probably just your brother having experience getting to that elite level, things change. Your mindset needs to change. All of a sudden, if you're growing up, you're always one of the best hockey players in the region, right? And you get to that next level, you have to be ready for that. And if you're not mentally prepared for that, what I've seen, and even people I've known or grown up with, sometimes they absolutely fall apart. So I can see where the Cujo conditioning, getting elite athletes to that level in the mindset, also, on the conditioning side, is very important. But talk a little bit about what maybe your brother experienced, and did you experience that along with him?
Yeah, so obviously I didn't make it as far as him, but we're twin brothers, so I was kind of I got to reap the rewards of his hard work as well. I was right alongside him for a lot of it, right? We started junior together in Brooks, Alberta, and then I got traded up to good old Lloydminster, and I'm still here. But he's had it. Everybody has it at every level, and you go through those times where you're at the lowest lows, and you have that adversity. And guys who are elite, the Sidney Crosbys, the McDavids, they have the same thing, but they have that mental fortitude, they have that mental strength, they have that work ethic. That's just relentless. And for my brother, he's had it as well, right? He's been the starting goaltender everywhere he's been. Even when he was in the AHL. And then trying to, break through and be a starting goaltender in the NHL. He never did it, right? He was categorized as just a backup goalie. He's played on 7 or 8 NHL franchises over his career. It's a business, and you have to realize that once you get to a certain level, and it's like, what level is that? It's whenever you want to start taking it that serious, right? Hockey is fun, but once you get to that WHL level, there's big money involved, and you are somewhat a piece of meat. And Chad's seen that at every level, when it comes to NCAA, when it comes to anywhere. So, for him, he had an awesome hockey career, but there are a ton of politics at every level, and I think one thing is if somebody believes in you and gives you that opportunity, and that you can screw up and your leash is long, that's the best feeling for a player, right? Where if you don't have that long leash and you let a bad goal in, or you're on the ice for a goal against that was important, is the coach going to stick you back out on the ice, or you're going to start that next game? Those are kind of the mental battles that you have. But when you're a top end guy like Sidney Crosby or McDavid, you can toss sauce across the ice, and if it gets intercepted and they go down and score, you're going to be back out on the ice. There's nothing to worry about. But if you're third or fourth liner, it's like you're probably going to be sitting your butt on the bench, for a little bit. So yeah, it's at every level.
I'd love to hear a lot more, and we just don't have time, unfortunately, in this podcast. But there'll be more to come. But I did play. Larry's a goalie. I think Dean Millard is a goalie. I played hockey. I was not a goalie, not an awesome hockey player, but obviously from Saskatchewan, played it. Was forced by our coach to try playing net. We all were told to try it once, and I quickly found out I absolutely hate this position. Never again. You're either a goalie or you're not, I think, is kind of the way it goes. So I give credit where credit is due.
Trust me, I know that. We were twins, so somebody had to go in the net and somebody had to shoot on him. So I credit myself for him being in the NHL. I was the one who made him good. But yeah, when we were really young, I think it was like Adam or Pee Wee or something like that, you had to rotate out and be goalie. And I remember it was my turn one time in net. And obviously not knowing the rules in Adam hockey yet, the puck got shot all the way down from the other end of the ice and came straight towards the net. And I'm just thinking, oh, it's going to be icing. And I look at the puck go straight between my legs, goes in the back of the net, and I just hear the entire crowd laugh. And that was the last time I put on goalie pads. So I knew Chad was going to be the goalie, and I wasn't. It was, yeah, definitely. It's not my thing is being in net.
I hear you 100%. So let's just switch now to the generals. Which NFT, obviously we refer to everything as NFTs nowadays. It's all the rage. What has impressed you the most this season, or maybe has not even really lived up to your expectations in terms of the NFTs that you have in the generals franchise?
Oh, that's a tough one. Obviously Laine's, we had big expectations for him. He started the season off, I think, phenomenal. He was, 5-point average franchise points. And obviously once he's got traded to Columbus, it hasn't been great, right? I don't think he's scored a goal in like 12 games. I think he's pointless in 16. So he's, for a young guy like that, where you have big expectations, he's probably our biggest disappointment. But again, 22-year-old, how can you be disappointed with that? We've made a lot of trades for top end players. We're getting Sagan and Nico back here hopefully next week. But yeah, I would have to say, for NFT wise, who our biggest disappointment is him. I'm definitely not selling him low by any means, but he's kind of been the biggest disappointment right now.
And you mentioned the big blockbuster trade that you made not too long ago with the Elite Assassins, Curtis. And talk about the way this franchise has sort of evolved, because it was the Bombers back in December, and right before you purchased the team, obviously, you saw Kirby Doc, Miro Heiskanen, and Jesperi Kotkaniemi shipped out for futures and cash considerations. And then you've kind of recouped that by, like I said, acquiring Nico Heischer and Nils Hoglander and Oliver Wahlstrom and guys like Adam Lowry in that deal as well. But talk about, and then you made the other deal with Donato and Kevin Labanc, who's been hot lately for San Jose, but kind of putting the pieces together to be a contender next season. Because like I said, without the injuries to Sagan and Tarasenko and now Nico Heischer that you've acquired, on paper, you must like the look of the Generals going forward.
Yeah, I think you look at our front end, I think we're extremely deep. We still have work to do on the back end. But yeah, coming in December, buying the Bombers franchise, not to say that we were in trouble, but we were in trouble. We couldn't field a roster. We only had 10 forwards. 2 of them were injured, right, long-term, Tarasenko and Sagan. So technically we only had 8 forwards on contract. We only had 2 defensemen on contract and 2 goalies. So, yes, we had some strong forwards, and, we have Shabbat on the back end. But we were, Harrison and I had some work to do. We had 2 weeks to kind of field a roster that would hopefully keep us in playoff distance. And I thought we did a good job. And the big deal that we did for Nico and those guys, yeah, I think it was totally worth it, for our vision going forward next year, and even us for the draft, right? We have 0 draft picks. We were going to be spenders in the draft anyways, but we knew, this 21 draft wasn't that strong. So you look at the $1,500 that we spent for 4 players, as well as a cap dump. We knew we got into some bad contracts because we needed to get into roster players. You look at McDonough, like he's a good player, but in franchise hockey, he's terrible. And a $6 million contract isn't great either. So, Anisimov, again, $4.5 million. We ditched him. So 1,500, I think, was cheap. I probably would pay $3,000 to make that deal, to be honest, to ditch all that bad cap and then get Nico and Mayfield, who's a 1.7 franchise per game D-man at 1.3. So you replace him for McDonough, and he puts up more franchise points, and he's $5 million cheaper. You get a guy like Lowry and Wallstrom and Hogland in there as well for $1,500. And we were going to spend that at the draft. And you look at the first overall pick, what's Owen Power going to go for? Is he going to be $1,000? Well, we just got, 4 good players who can help our team out this year and next year for, $1,500. We had a great expansion franchise sale there for $10,000. So we got $300 there. It just all made sense. I think it's a great move by, Harrison and the Generals organization to get all those players.
Yeah. And we've been talking a lot about next year, but if Patrick Laine heats up down the stretch here, we still got 5 weeks left in the regular season, and the Generals are within striking distance of that 4th playoff spot in the Gretzky division, currently occupied by the Stallions. Do you think your boys are going to pick up the pace and be able to, like I said, if you get Seguin back and Heischer back, and if Laine can get that fire under him in Columbus and maybe get somebody feeding him the puck on the power play, the Generals are perhaps within striking distance of making a playoff run this year?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was our goal coming in was to make playoffs. And again, financially, if we do make playoffs, that's more money in our pocket and just makes that 1,500 even make more sense. I think we're 60 points out, and even our big boys haven't been producing that well. You even look at LeBanc and Donato. I know LeBanc had a good game yesterday, but even those guys, since getting them, they've kind of been down a little bit. And then getting Sagan and Nico back, we don't have a backup goalie, Frank, who's been hurt all year, but he should be making a return as well. So I'm pretty confident. I don't want to say 100%, but I think we haven't had a phenomenal game where all of our boys have put up at least 1 point or done any of that, and we've slowly clawed our way back into striking distance of a playoff spot. So I completely believe the Generals will have a chance in making playoffs.
And the tough break there, I guess, is Thatcher Demko and Niels Hogland are 2 of your kind of young key guys. You see Thatcher Demko sign that 5-year, $25 million extension with Vancouver to be their starting goalie. And now the Canucks are sidelined by COVID. They would have been playing the Jets tonight, obviously. But yeah, just to see the COVID situation and having that uncertainty now with 2 of your key players, Demko as your main goalie and Hoglander.
Yeah, I think it's all going to, I can't remember what the rules are in the NHL. I think, obviously if they can get those games in, they will. But if they're meaningless games, they're not going to play them, if I'm correct. So that's the only thing I'm worried about is if, they're playing the Ottawa Senators or people who are out of playoff contention, then they're not going to get those games back. But right now I'm thinking they're scheduled to get those games in. It's just like the Dallas Stars, right? They got a bunch of games to get in. So that actually helps us with Sagan coming back a little bit later. But like I said, if our boys start heating up, Laine and even LeBanc and Donato and Lowry and Farabee, he's been on a cold streak as well, right? So all of our boys are kind of been not doing that great, and we still somehow clawed our way back. So if 2 of those 5 guys start heating up, it should be good for us.
Well, Curtis, we could talk about you, we could talk about your brother, we could talk about the Generals and the Corporals probably all day long, but unfortunately we only have so much time for meeting the owners on this show. I can guarantee, though, you one thing: if you do anything good or do anything bad, you're going to be talked about on our other fantastic program that's on our UFSN network called UFHL Now. So just keep making news and you'll you'll be talked about on there. But I am going to finish off with one final question for you. We ask all our guests on here. It's just kind of just an interesting segment, and it is if you could meet or go out for dinner with or have a fireside chat with anybody that you perhaps idolize, living or not living, who might that be and why?
I thought about this. I know a lot of guys like the Wayne Gretzky's. I'm a big Joe Nieuwendyk fan, but sitting down, I like to kind of see the other side. So a guy like Eric Lindros, I think just with everything that he went through, or I didn't idolize him by no means, but I just love to pick that guy's brain. Do you know what I mean? And say like, behind, off camera, like, would you change your decisions? Like early on in his career, obviously with or Quebec, it wasn't Montreal, I think it was Quebec, right? That and all of his concussions and everything like that. His dad and all the drama and all that kind of stuff. I'd love to sit down and pick that guy's brain off record if he's willing to like open up about it. Just one of those weird things. The Wayne Gretzky's, the Bobby Orrs, like, they're all phenomenal, but I just, on that other side, like, I'd love to talk to Eric Lindros, off the record type thing. Yeah.
I love that answer. I think, to be honest, not a guy I've really followed. Obviously, I know the problems he went through, but it's been pretty quiet. I don't really know what went on there. So that's a really good choice. That would be an interesting discussion for sure. Larry, Curtis, you guys know that we're growing. We have a very big sports reveal coming up here in just a little bit. But I want to thank you, Curtis, for being on the program. I want to thank you so much. You've been very instrumental in your help in getting the UFAHL off the ground this year. So I thank you for that. And we'll certainly talk again.
No, thanks for having me. And can't wait to see what this new sport is.
Absolutely. And we're going to find out right away. Oh my goodness, I almost want to jump right out of my chair and show people that white men can jump. The UFFS now jumping higher than ever before, reaching brand new heights not yet seen. And yes, I am talking about basketball, the ultimate fantasy basketball association, or UFBA. Here we come, and welcome to the show. Alex, Fish, we're bringing the big guns on now.
Yeah, I can't wait. I know I'm not personally a huge basketball guy, but my brother's been bugging me for months and months about when's basketball coming. So I know hopefully he's watching and he'll be as excited as anyone. But it's great to have you, Alex, on the show. And as the new head of operations for the UFBA and for heading up the basketball platform on UFF Sports, talk about how excited you are to let the cat out of the bag.
This moment's been a little while coming, not too long, but that was a decent exhale there, just to be able to, at this point, speak publicly about it. It's been an exciting few weeks, just over a month now since I was given the position, and I've just been bursting with excitement. I've got so many different ideas, things I want to, put forward. Just the size of the opportunity is so exciting to me. With where we might be able to take this, running the UFBA, the Ultimate Fantasy Basketball Association. It's going to be so cool. It's fantasy sports has been something that I've played all my life, since I think I was 10 years old or so, and it got me right from the beginning. So I've been into hockey since I was 10. There, I transitioned to basketball, football. I played a little bit of golf, so I'm excited about that being launched as well. Really any and everything fantasy has been something that's carried me throughout life, and to find myself here in this position, excitement's really just the main word. I've been bubbling with it. I can't get over it.
For sure. And talk about sort of what's next now. Obviously we know that Down the road, there'll be a franchise auction likely in mid-September. That's sort of the next big step. But talk about some of the tasks you'll take on, of course, meeting potential franchise owners that share that common interest in fantasy basketball and people from the NFT space as well. But I know you're working on getting a Twitter account set up for UFBA and just kind of now, like I said, now the cat's out of the bag, kind of networking and really bringing this to life as far as the UFBA. And we see the logo. I mean, you must be happy with the way the logo is coming, but just sort of taking a hands-on role now that it's public.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of different ideas. Now that we're public, being able to direct market, definitely we'll get into Twitter and be huge on there. I've already been joining some Discord groups in the background, not announcing what I was doing, but already creating some background connections in there. We've got on Clubhouse, Telegram. We're going to be reaching out directly, marketing to basketball people, to NFT people, to fantasy sports, to anybody that's just sort of looking towards what the future is bringing. It's something that will be a big part of what I'll be doing is that direct marketing. Be trying to find and bring in a potential commissioner that's got the absolute foundation of basketball knowledge, a Larry Fisher type, if you would, but for basketball would be my ideal person. So there's going to be lots of different things that are ongoing, setting up the auctions, all of it. It's going to be a step-by-step process, but I've been so excited. I've been rewriting the rule book already. We've got a decent foundation already starting from of just going public at this moment. So it's all exciting.
Well, Alex, finding that Larry Fisher type person, let me tell you, you're going to have to scour the world far and wide to find a person like that. But to be honest with you, Alex, I do find a little bit of that in you. Going back just a little bit, and really, it seems like a long time ago, but it wasn't that long ago when I first, saw you somehow in the Telegram chats, kind of looking around the edges. You were looking for opportunities, and I reached out on Telegram because I knew, a couple of franchises seeking a general manager, and at that point, you were, maybe looking for some partnerships, some ownership, and I remember explaining to you, my experience shows that you just get involved, you get to know some people, do some stuff, and opportunities come to those who seek it. And I see you instantly as one of those guys that was seeking opportunities. So, we see it in the sidebar there. You currently are very involved in the UFHL as general manager of the Battlehawks in the UFHL and of the Thunderbirds in the UFAHL. And you took the Battlehawks from, Larry, you might have to help me out. I don't know where they were sitting at, number 26, I think, or 23rd spot, and banging on the door in terms of a playoff spot. So, I mean, you obviously know what you're doing. You have passion, and I can see everything you do that you enjoy at this elite fantasy level already.
Yeah, I think it comes from being adaptable. It's sort of one thing I've just always tried to be. I've tried to just be able to say yes to any situation, anything that's been presented, and try some new things. I've tried a couple different careers and paths of work and things like that. Like you mentioned, sorry, when I came in, I was thinking I might be able to jump in and buy a team right away, and I was quickly met with some price tags that I could not afford, which then led to the GM opportunity. And it's like, all right, well, yeah, let's jump on that. Now we're running a team, and then the AHL draft was going on, and well, it was me running the team, so it was me running that team too. And one thing's led to another, and just reaching out and trying to talk to people and see what opportunities might be available somehow landed me a meeting with the founders, and have now got me on this podcast here announcing that we are launching basketball as a fantasy sports platform here. And I can't get the word excited out of my head. I don't know why, but yeah, it's so cool.
Excitement is good. Excitement is good. I see the Raptors jersey. That's one thing I have to work on. I've only got hockey. Well, I shouldn't say that. I've got hockey. Obviously, the Saskatchewan Roughrider jersey, CFL, a very big passion of mine. But I got to start working on the NBA and now the UFBA side of things for myself personally. But let's just talk, and I hope we can get a little bit personal here. So obviously, you've got a family. But when something like this starts to happen, and I'm not going to say that you were necessarily just given the head of operations of basketball. I think you earned that position, my friend. But what does your wife say when you say, hey, sorry, I got to burn the candle at both ends, honey, because it's this UFFS thing. Does she say, what the heck is this UFFS? How do those discussions happen, or how do they go?
I think I laid the foundation pretty well that this is all building towards a better future for ourselves. The burning the candle at both ends has definitely been happening, but it's all with the bigger goal in mind of where we're looking to get to. Um, she's honestly been super supportive of it all. I don't think I've ever been met with like anytime that I've asked for the night to work on something, or hey honey, I got a call with so and so, can you watch the kids for a bit? It's just a yes every single time. It's not even a second thought. I try to make sure I'm doing my share as well when I do have the time. I quite enjoy cooking, so that's something I try to get in on here and there and take over a meal for her when I can, and definitely helping out with the kids wherever possible. But no, she's been great in it all. It definitely might have made this all pretty tough to try and take on the amount that I have in these couple months if it wasn't for her being my rock and support there. That really it was just yes, let's do it. It's a how do we do it, not can we do it, or, questioning whether it's possible. It's what's next, how do we do it, what do we got to do, and that's just sort of how we've been. It's been a great relationship together, and we can really support each other from there, and get to these points where feeling like anything is truly possible, and seeing where we're going to be able to take the UFBA. It's all exciting. Thinking of you're mentioning logos and jerseys. I'm looking through the UFHL here at all the different uniqueness and the logos, and my mind's just popping of where do we go with basketball. There's going to be 30 new teams there in basketball, all with their own unique logos and branding and color schemes, and it's going to be so cool to see what these owners, when they come up with and put together. It's just going to be such a fun process. Like every single part of it's exciting, and I can't wait to keep going with it. This is a huge moment, getting to go public, and it's just the next of the big steps that we're taking.
And Darren obviously touched on it. You're rocking the Raptors jersey. You got the Raptors hat on as well. And you wouldn't have those items if you weren't a basketball fan. Talk about I know you mentioned as well to me how many basketball fantasy leagues you've joined just to try and get that rule book sorted and the scoring system and see what works best. But just talk about, did you grow up playing basketball? What's your history in basketball? When did you sort of take a liking? Obviously, the Raptors are now the lone NBA team in Canada, and they've had some good runs. But how did you become a basketball fan? Did you grow up playing the game?
Yeah, for me growing up, I was generally an all sports guy. Funny, we had Curtis on before, and his connection obviously to his brother, the goaltending, and talking about this might be a goaltending podcast. I was a goalie in hockey growing up, but with that, I generally just played all sports. I was slightly above average, but I think that came from my work ethic in all sports. But I was never really the best at any of them. Basketball, the grade 8 year of public school, I got the first basket and the last basket of the year. That was a notable part for me there. But no, basketball, it's something I've just sort of kept up with generally throughout my life. I enjoy it just as much as grabbing a stick and shooting a puck outside is going out and trying to shoot a 3 or free throws, whatever, in the driveway. It's a great way to get a bit of exercise and some peace and quiet to yourself. You don't think about too much besides just making that next shot. So it's a nice little way to unwind, and unwind while even getting some exercise in it too. And then leading into the fandom and the Raptors, as they started to get better here in the last few years, I really jumped on board. I don't want to admit to being a bandwagoner, but I definitely jumped on board hard once they became good, and it was so much fun watching the communities rally, everybody in Canada basically rallied together. The conversation at work the next day wasn't, what had the Leafs done? It was, what are the Raptors up to? Are they going to win the next game? Are they going to do the thing in Toronto, which we haven't, seen done as much as other places and cities in terms of winning an actual championship? And it was just so cool to see them actually do it. It made me as a Leafs fan feel like, what? They can probably get there too still. Because for a while you don't feel that way sometimes. So it was really nice, that rewarding moment of like, wow, it actually happened. And then I got to go to the parade. I made sure I got the day off work for that. And that was just a cool moment, surrounded by what did it end up being, a couple million people packed in downtown. Oh, there's some really cool memories that sports brings you, and you can place yourself in that exact moment and just remember everything that was going on. And that's where my love from sports came from, just living in the moment.
Right on, and obviously Jurassic Park was wild for those of us in Western Canada. We're watching from afar, but Jurassic Park sure looked wild during those playoff runs in Toronto. And like I said, you're right in that environment. But Darren touched on it. But I think the thing that stands out for me about Alex is just your ambition and your enthusiasm, but you're just how ambitious you are. And right from when you joined UFFS, the investment side as well. I know. Even more so than myself. And we had Curtis Johnson on before. He's another guy who really took to the crypto world and the NFT potential, but just in general, investing in cryptocurrency and talk about that side of the platform. And obviously that is a big part of the vision here with UFF Sports beyond fantasy sports. It is NFTs, it is cryptocurrency, blockchain. You're probably more well-versed in that than me, but just talk about the ability to adapt, like you said, and get into that world and really start to be profitable there as well.
Yeah, it felt like learning a new language at first, or something of that type. Maybe more of riding a bike, because you feel like you fall down a couple times and then you sort of get it and just keep rolling from there. The crypto side of it, it's exciting, just the explosive potential in markets and seeing the NFT market popping off the way that it has and sort of absolutely exploding lately. That's where our drive has come from to really get these other leagues up and running, is really jumping on and seizing the moment and building off the hype and really showing the next layer of value that we're bringing with these collectibles, these NFTs of these players, and then their utility into our fantasy league and whatever else we may have up our sleeves coming in the future. We'll have some more things to talk about then, but it's exciting. The crypto side with the money, it's provided another way to invest at what I'll call even like a smaller level, that you can see the bigger potential in. And for somebody like me, when I came in and quickly was met with some price tags I couldn't afford in terms of buying a team in the UFHL, then it was, okay, well, what could I do in the crypto markets? Maybe if I made some money there, I would be able to buy a team. And it's just sort of jumping, okay, well, then how do I get to that goal of owning a team? And we'll see if I still get there in the hockey league as the price tags have gone up and with these other sports going, who knows? But no matter what, the fact that I get to be at this stage of it and to be a part of the team building this platform out and this product out, it's so exciting to me, and the potential that we have to take this with. I literally cannot keep things straight in my head. It's been the toughest thing. I've always been a manage things in my head and just sort of work at that pace in different jobs that I've had. And I've had to get binders. I've had to, my notes app is a mess of different ideas and things that I just jot down when I think of them, because I know I won't remember them again. So it's been a lot, but it's been so good. I think it's the best that I felt about myself in a while, is taking this project on and feeling like I'm working towards something bigger and better for myself, my family, and something that's just gonna be really fun to do. And they say if you enjoy what you do, it doesn't quite feel like work. Well, we're definitely at that stage so far. It really doesn't feel like work to me. So I just can't wait to see where it goes. And not where it goes now. It's partially where I take it, which is a pretty cool feeling.
Well, Alex, we're going to the moon. That's always the plan. And it's, there's a lot of big things in the future. Absolutely. We're building every day towards this, and you've done a fantastic job, but it's the little things too. Like I was just thinking the whole time you were talking about cryptocurrency, and Larry, it led you into that conversation is, hey, I've got my wife's looking to play that pass, score, win, Zil game. And I've got this score token. Who should I send it to? I said, hey, check. Alex is probably there. I'm sure he's poking around online somewhere, so he's probably available to take it. And you're always there. So it's the little things. You're always available. You're always trying to get in and help move these little contests, and that little contest is a lot of fun. So I want to thank you for all you've done so far. You've worked very hard. So appreciate all that.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm always a tag away. When the notification pops up, it really helps me that much more. But I generally have the laptop open on the kitchen table, and then I'm chasing the kids back and forth throughout the whole night whenever I get home from work. So it's pretty easy to just notice something pop up there, and everything is helping the greater good of our platform and building us out. And any little bit I can get, if I can respond to a message or quickly receive and make a pass in our pass, score, win Zil contest, it just gets that much more engagement from any person that might have interest. And if you can create a small positive interaction with somebody, then, it's just something you can build on all the time. And if you leave every interaction having it been positive, then things, that's the way I try and be. And things are generally pretty good in my life, and I enjoy things quite a bit. So I find it's a decent way to go about it.
Love the attitude, makes the world go around. And of course, this is only going to be the first of many appearances by yourself, I think, on a lot of podcasts that will be sure to come on the UFSN network as we move forward. But a big sigh of relief. Take that big breath, Alex, because the cat's out of the bag, man. You can go on Discord, you can go wherever you want. You can talk all day long about UFBA. So have at her, buddy, as soon as we're done here. But I do have $1 million question for you that we ask everybody. I asked the last one, so I'm going to let Larry ask this one as we close this segment off, okay?
For sure. So, Alex, we always ask if you could sit down with whether it's a celebrity or a sports figure, but somebody past or present, who would you want to sit down and have a dinner, a fireside chat with, and why? Who do you want to? Whose brain would you want to pick?
It's really tough to nail down the one. I had two. Been thinking about this question. I'll go a different way with it. Charlie Sheen, before he kind of went a little bit more publicly off the rails, and the reason for that is I didn't quite idolize the way he did things or what he did, but he was an interesting character in a show when he played the Charlie Harper in 2.5 Men there, and that kind of got my entrepreneurial side going, and I had a connection to him at a younger age, and I'd like to, just figure out what was going on in his world at those times and make those little connections for myself, which I think would be fun. I'd started a fan page on Facebook at one point for him, and I ended up selling that for $1,000 or $1,500, which shined me when I did that. It was the biggest thing I did that year, and it was so cool. So that was one moment that I was thinking back to, and a person that I think is just such an interesting person. If you could, sit back and just hear some of the things he'd have to talk about, it'd just be a really fun story. So that's who I'd go with.
I like
Sheen.
that.
So if he could take that back, Larry, and turn that fan page or picture of it into an NFT, just imagine what you could do with it.
There's a
2009.
There's a few Charlie Sheen clips that could be NFTs. Like I said, maybe a little bit more as he was going off the rails. He said some pretty comical things, but he was a stellar actor. And I guess one thing that came to mind as we were talking to Alex is obviously the franchise auction in the UFBA is sort of the next big thing. And there's going to be people, whether it's my brother or, a bunch of other people who are NBA fans and play fantasy basketball. Is there sort of a message you want to send to them about why the UFBA is going to be the elite premier fantasy basketball league, and for interested buyers, interested franchise owners, as well as scouts, I guess. But why should they want to get involved with the UFBA versus any of the 30 other fantasy basketball leagues that you've took upon yourself to join this year to just kind of get a feel for fantasy basketball?
Well, I think the number came to 42, embarrassingly or positively, whichever you may look at it, for the basketball leagues I joined. But that's besides the point. The reason to join this and the reason to get excited here is it's the exclusivity. It's the blockchain. These are one of ones. There is no other. And, I joined those leagues, and I could join 42 leagues because they were on Yahoo, ESPN, and Fantrax, and you can join them just like anybody else can. You can't do that here. There's going to be 30 auctions, one for each franchise, and that'll be your way in. And then it will be the elite of the elite, the most high stakes, the biggest league going. That's where I hope to take this to, is, to be known as the fantasy sports league. We'll be known as the league, the season league, where if you're talking about fantasy sports for a season long league, like, there's only one thing to compare it to, and it'll be us. We'll have the most in-depth, as like to the NBA as we can possibly create and in fantasy. And there's only ever going to be the 30 teams, and there's not going to be a cheaper entry point, I imagine, than these entry auctions. So I would be saving up and looking long and hard as to who you want to start your franchise with, because it'll be a pretty fun time that weekend or wherever it exactly lands on the auction time. But it's going to be so much fun.
Awesome. Love the passion. And thanks for your time, Alex. Look forward to working with you so much here in the coming days, coming weeks, coming months, and coming years. And yeah, you're going to be a busy guy. We're all going to be busy, as we always are here at the UFFS, expanding as usual. Another exciting announcement under, I guess, I wouldn't say under our belts, but I guess it's kind of off into the stratosphere, and we can talk about it all day long. And speaking of NFTs, we are going to talk about this crazy world of NFT a little bit here coming up shortly, and we're going to talk about some very important dates coming up here, Fish, right after this.
This is the UFFS podcast, Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports, where you own the game.
Well, Fish, finally, the cat is out of the bag. A couple of great guests today on the program. And you could just hear Alex, breathing a sigh of relief because, man, you can tell he's been working so hard, and it's hard to keep these secrets, right? So, man, here we go. Off to the races, as we say. Exciting times ahead, as we say.
There you go. Exciting times ahead for the UFBA, the Ultimate Fantasy Basketball Association. We're very confident in Alex taking the lead as head of operations for the basketball platform with UFFS Sports. And I think Alex has already, like I said, behind the scenes, he's put in a ton of work. He's basically got the rule book ready to go. And he's really bought into the vision of UFFS to make sure that the UFBA is the most realistic fantasy basketball league available anywhere. So this is going to be the deepest league and the most realistic league. So if you like fantasy basketball, if you've ever dreamed of being an NBA GM or an NBA owner, this is the platform you want to be a part of, and get in touch with Alex. And he's ready to rock now. I can't wait to see where he takes the UFBA.
You know what? In full disclosure, I haven't really been historically a basketball guy either. Vertically challenged is probably part of my reason. I did play in high school, believe it or not. I do have the speed, just do not have the height. But if you were to replace one of your hockey jerseys behind you, Larry, with an NBA franchise, which one would it be?
Oh, that's a tough one. Probably the Chicago Bulls, or the Orlando Magic. Back when I actually played a little bit of basketball in the junior high and stuff before I really focused on hockey and football. And in high school, Penny Hardaway was a guy that I really liked as a point guard. I had Penny Hardaway shoes and stuff out in the garage port in Saskatchewan, which long way from Orlando. But yeah, Orlando Magic, maybe it's got some cool color schemes back in the day. But Chicago Bulls, again, growing up in the 90s, it's hard not to choose Chicago with Jordan and Pippen and Dennis Rodman and everybody else who came through that dynasty.
Yeah, I did get fully behind the Raptors in the playoff run there, and it was the most NBA basketball I'd ever watched in my life, and I never thought I'd be into it, but I was actually very excited about it. So I can see myself getting more involved as we move ahead with the UFBA. NFT, crazy. Everything we do is we talk about NFTs. Every time we buy a player or own a player as an asset in the UFHL, UFAHL, or UFBA or UFGA, it's an NFT. Lots of stories like this has just taken the world by storm. Just want to spend just a couple of quick minutes about it. Mark Cuban, the billionaire, talking nonstop about this stuff. This is a strange one. You said it to me on Twitter, and I'd actually seen it, Fish, but that Croatian tennis player, she actually sold a piece of skin on her arm as an NFT. It was one of the weirdest things I think I've ever seen.
And somebody is willing to pay for it and pay a decent amount of money. So athletes are capitalizing, the sports world's capitalizing on NFTs. Again, I think with the COVID situation and no fans in the building, all those fans who normally are season ticket holders and stuff, they have that disposable income now, and they still want to feel like they're part of the game. And what bigger part of the game than owning a piece of flesh off a tennis player's strong arm, obviously, right? And I think we're going to see more and more athletes dive into the world of NFTs, but certainly that's what we're doing here at UFF Sports with providing utility for NFTs through fantasy gameplay and a lot of other projects on the way. But it is a craze, and literally everybody's trying to get into the NFT space.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know what to do with buying a piece of skin on a tennis player's arm. But other than that, what's probably nearest and dearest to us, just on the circumstance of being fully immersed in hockey and the NHL, is the recent Matthew Tkachuk, the first NHLer to to sell an NFT of himself. And there you go. It's up on the screen. I thought this was pretty cool. A couple of really nice pictures or posters or whatever you want to call them. I guess you call them an NFT. But what I thought was really cool, Fish, is that he actually donated the proceeds from this to charity, which I thought was a great way to launch, yourself as an NFT exposed hockey player, I guess, for lack of a better word.
To be the first hockey player to join into jump into the NFT side. And essentially what we're looking at is a digital trading card, right? You can own it. It looks cool. And you can maybe trade it for another collectible of some sort. And certainly you can resell it down the road. But essentially it is just a digital trading card. But it is very cool that the NHL and their players are getting involved. But again, with UFF Sports, we're taking that to the next level by providing that utility. Not only do you own a cool, digital trading card or a professional athlete as a digital asset, you're able to generate revenue, every season, essentially every year that you own that digital asset. And even more so than every year, it can generate revenue for you on a weekly, a daily basis in some situations with the big picture. So I think that part of it, it's cool to see professional sports world getting into NFTs and seeing the sale prices on these NFTs. Matthew Tkachuk sold for, I believe, over $27,000 just to have that collectible digital trading card. So you can see the value and the real world really buying into the crypto world and the NFT space and getting these non-fungible tokens, which are essentially digital collectibles. But like you said, the next generation is finding a way to provide utility and generate revenue for NFTs. And that's what we're doing here at UFF Sports.
Absolutely. You touched on it. So you take something like that. What do you do with it? Well, you put it in fantasy league play or maybe even legends leagues. And that's what we do here at UFFS. So pretty cool stuff. It's nice to see the NHL and Matthew Tkachuk getting on board with that and bringing some more notoriety to it, to the hockey world. I want to talk obviously a little bit about, how can you practice a little bit with NFT and, getting your ZilPay wallet up, which you're going to need to buy the Score token, which we're going to be selling here. Private sale, of course, kicks off on May the 1st, public sale on June the 2nd. And we've got a little contest going on Telegram, which is kind of funny. Not actually funny. It's fun is what I meant to say. But what is not funny is to see this jackpot, which you can see on the screen already. And Fish, we've only been doing this for a week, and we've got a whole month to go we're giving the jackpot away on April 30th. But look at the jackpot already, like 464 US. I could do some things with that cash. I could probably buy a couple of NFTs in the UFGA or what have you in the UFFS. But it's a pretty cool pot. It's a pretty fun contest to play.
It is. And, you see the prize pool growing. And at the same time, you see Zil skyrocketing, right? The Zilliqa coin, Zil has really taken off in recent weeks and months. And with it trending up over the next month, you can expect the valuation of that prize pool to continue to go up as well. But I know I had the privilege of having one of the starter NFTs, the coins to pass, the first pass score win Zil. I was one of the 5 starters to get the contest going. I know yourself, I know Dean Millard, you guys have been in there playing. And what we really want to see is more of the UFFS community, the users. So we're talking about franchise owners, scouts, GMs. We want them to get involved in this contest because most of the steps that you're using to participate in this contest, you're going to need set up anyway when it comes time to buy Score. And you don't want to be at the 11th hour saying, okay, how do I do this? Get ahead of the game, get your ZilPay wallet set up, take all these steps. And even if you only do one pass, you can do as many passes as you want of the Score tokens. The more times you pass it, the more times you're entered into winning that purse or that prize pool. But you can just pass it once just to get a feel for it, just to get the steps set up so you're ready to go when May 1st comes or prior to that for the users. When it's time to buy Score, you want to be ready to go.
Absolutely. So very, very happy and very proud to be partnered with Zilliqa, of course, as part of everything we do on the Zilliqa blockchain. And we like to show the transaction speed of the Zilliqa blockchain. That's kind of part of it. And another little cool thing that's happening within this contest, for those of you that don't know, it's not just about passing the token and being entered for this awesome jackpot of Zil, 2,260 right now. I'm sure it's growing past that at this point. But there's this little contest that runs every Sunday where you have to look at the NFT and there's things built into it. Fish, I got to ask you, the very first one I think we ran last Sunday, there was a number embedded in the NFT. The number was 369. Could you see that thing?
I'm 0 for 2, Darren, and that's embarrassing because today it was the country, the map of a country, and the country was Canada, where we live, and I didn't even pick that up. So yeah, I missed the 369, and I missed the map of Canada. So hopefully I can be successful in week 3. But it is a cool contest, and it actually reminds me of something like I don't know if you know Mickey's beer, but the lids on Mickey's beer, there's always a riddle you have to solve, and kind of those games. So you got this score coin, and you got to study it and analyze it and try to pick out these clues that are inside this coin before you pass it along, or study it on the Telegram group where the image is available regularly. But it's a really cool way to add some excitement to the game itself by every Sunday having a clue, and then the first 2 people who guess the clue correctly win a little bit of Zil or get it entered into another contest. So it's a cool promotion and a cool game within the game.
Yeah, they get some merch, and I'll tell you, the very first one, the 369, the number that was embedded in there, I absolutely couldn't see it. And my wife, interestingly enough, I said, I'm frustrated. I can't see this thing. I thought it was, you know how sometimes the female and the male brains work differently? I thought it was maybe an evil plan where the males weren't going to be able to see that stuff and only females could see it, because until it was pointed out to me point blank and I zoomed out to a different degree, I absolutely couldn't see it. I still couldn't see it at the end. So it was a mystery to me, but I did get the country embedded in it today. So at least I know my brain is functioning in some fashion for this thing. We should talk a little bit also about the new Twitter feed, focused on scouts. Larry, you just set that up. That is fantastic. Pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, we almost have 100 followers in the first week of tweeting. We've highlighted a handful of our scouting agencies already by letting them, announce a little bit about themselves, as well as, their most valuable NFT, their most improved NFT, their underrated NFT, and their favorite NFT. So it really promotes the scouts. So certainly give us a follow on Twitter at @PuckScouts_UFFS. So yeah, again, that's PuckScouts_UFFS. And it is cool. I mean, not only are we promoting our own scouts and our own NFTs that are owned on the Zilliqa blockchain and through UFF Sports platform, but we're also, basically curating all types of news on prospects, whether they're owned by franchises, owned by scouts, or in some cases, I've thrown out a few open market players on there, and people who are scrolling that Puck Scouts Twitter feed have been quick to add them. So I know Duckman's Domination got High Level Scouting affiliated with Duckman's Domination, Craig Button and Trish Millard's scouting agency. They were the ones that found Thomas Milic, the Seattle Thunderbirds goaltender, who was named to Canada's under-18 team. He was still available on the open market, and on the PuckScouts_UFFS Twitter account, we had tweeted out the players from the WHL and some highlights on them as to who was available on the open market and who was sort of making that team. And all you had to do is follow this Twitter feed and connect the dots to see who's available on the open market. So there'll be some steals, some gems, diamonds in the rough, sort of some clues put out on this scouting feed as well. But more or less, it's to highlight the scouts within our platform, give them some exposure, and really just curate the prospect world. What's going on with prospects for the NHL as well as the UFHL.
Absolutely, job well done, and quick work by a producer extraordinaire behind the scenes, Dean Millard, and getting that Twitter page up on the screen there. So as usual, we always like to point out the important dates. April 30th, Score Pass Win Zil finale is going to happen. We did show the pod. Well, you can see it here, 2,260 Zil after 1 week. You can only imagine what that bag of Zil is going to be after another month of running here. So that's when we will draw, and 2 random addresses that have played, wallet addresses, will receive the pod. Distributed evenly. So that's going to be an exciting day. We're going to have some NFT auctions that day as well. And every Sunday in between that Score Pass little mini game, find what's hidden in the Score NFT happens as well. It's a lot of fun. Of course, May 1st, Score Coin private sale. Want to be ready for that. And that's why we're talking about the ZilPay wallet. So if you haven't yet, make sure you get set up and play the Score Pass Win Zil game, because it's a good way to kind of learn how the wallet works. June 1st will be the Score Coin public sale. August 8th, going to be a very fun and exciting day as we get into the franchise auctions for the UFGA, which is our golf part of UFFS. And now, officially today, we can talk about it. September, the UFBA franchise auction. We don't have the date nailed down yet. More details, of course, to come, but it's going to be, somewhere within mid-September. So a lot of things happening, Fish, but this is really, we could fill up a whole page with dates and stuff that's happening behind the scenes, but we can't get into right now, but there's a lot more to come.
Yeah, I mean, you look at next podcast later this month, we hope to announce some more sports and some more head of sport operations. So, I mean, by the end of the year, we could have a good number of sports here in the UFFS community and ecosystem. So every week's a busy week. And like you say, Darren, we're taking this to the moon.
So another new launch. Thanks to Alex LeBlanc for joining us today. Also want a big thank you to Curtis Johnson for joining us today. And as we delved a little deeper and learned more about those two professionals within the UFFS community. And thank you for joining us today on UFFS podcast number 20 from wherever you call home. Really appreciate you taking the time. Please search us up on UFSN on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel. Like, if you wouldn't mind, and enjoy our other great content there as well. You can see it up on the screen here. Getting more followers every time and more subscribers every time I look at it. So thank you for that. Always looking for more great fantasy content to add to our network. If interested, contact us in any number of ways. You can email us at UFSN@UFFSports.com. Might be just about the easiest. And I want to thank Dean Millard for doing the production work behind the scenes here today. Of course, if you're looking for any production work, there it is, Podcast Alley, and you can find out how to contact him and contact them. This is Bates and Fish saying so long for Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports, where you own the game.
This has been the UFFS podcast with Darren Bates and Larry Fisher. Get in the game where you own the game at www.uffsports.com.